We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Ted. Ted has been measuring, so you know this is going to go down a rabbit hole again. We love Ted. It turns out that he has a massive dip in his bass frequency response at his main listening position, so we ordered a second Power Sound Audio 15V. Dude, your wife must like straight up hate me at this point. Like, I don't think she blames Rob at all.
The best part of this is when he gets this dialed in and he's like, "But my bass got quieter sounding."
Oh, right. Let's go through that. Let's prepare for that conversation.
Yep, because it's coming.
He's still always has his door open, so it's in a regularly shaped room. We've said that it makes it basically impossible to predict the best placement of dual subs ahead of time without us having to go over the whole procedure ourselves again. Is there a thorough and clear article written anywhere that he could follow to get his dual subs set up? So yeah, there's something over on Audioholics, multiple subwoofer setup calibration thing that's over there, I guess.
Now, I don't know if that's actually clearer than what we've said, but it's something that you can read and follow, and it's, you know, Gene wrote it up, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the multiple subs thing, so yeah. We'll have the links for those, avrant.com, and those are some Audioholics articles written by Gene.
Yeah. So Gene from Audioholics has mentioned a few times that bass response in a room is minimum phase. So Ted wants to know, what the heck does that mean? And what impact does that have on the bass? So before Rob gives you all the technical stuff, because I looked it up, and I get to say stuff if I look it up.
Okay.
So minimum phase, in order to be minimum phase, I have to almost want to click on the article, but it means that it's essentially, from my understanding, it's bouncing around the room. Right, so your room yourself, it's not like going out and like disappearing. It's coming back, and it has the ability to cross itself without affecting essentially the frequency, which means it can be EQ'd. What they say is it can be inverted. Inverted means that you can take that, whatever that sound is that's being produced, and put out an inverted version of that and get a flat line. All right. So what does that mean? That means it can be EQ'd. Okay. Now, in a room at any given position, there will be minimum phase sounds and sounds that aren't, which means sounds that can be EQ'd and sounds that can't. So the sounds, remember what we said earlier, Ted, about if you have a huge null as you're listening to like a bass sweep, you don't want to put your subwoofer there. That's because it can't be EQ'd. It is not a minimum phase, which means that it will, no matter how much energy you put to making that sound louder, that same amount of energy will be reflected back at you. Not same, but it's very similar amount. We reflect it back, and it will continue to cancel it out, no matter how much you do. So it cannot be EQ'd. So that's my understanding. Go.
Yeah, the actual math about a minimum phase system or a minimum phase signal goes beyond the math I fully comprehend. So if you really want to delve into it, I can't actually totally help you there on just minimum phase. But yeah, as it's applied to acoustics, Tom has explained most of it. There's the one other part of it, which is that it's time invariant. It means that it doesn't matter when you measure it, it'll still look the same. Right, so this is talking about standing waves in your room. It doesn't matter when you measure it; that standing wave is going to look the same. If you flip it over, it's going to look the same. It has this inverse response, and it's time invariant. So this came up because Gene basically got into a bit of an argument with what was that guy who does the room acoustic stuff that we don't talk about because of that horrible video that he made.
Oh, Ethan Weiner.
All right. Anyway, the two of them kind of got into an argument. Ethan Weiner's stance was basically that the only way to fix the like if you have a ringing sound in your bass, right? He was like, the only way to fix that is with bass trapping, right? And Gene was like, no, actually, if you use 2 subwoofers or 4 subwoofers and you fix the frequency response, like all you're doing at first is looking at the frequency response. But if you use 2 or 4 subwoofers and you fix the frequency response, that automatically fixes the ringing because the bass is minimum phase.
Right.
And what that means is that, it doesn't matter what time you look at it. If you change it, then it remains the same. We don't have to worry about the time aspect of it anymore. We don't have to worry about the ringing. The ringing is a result of it having this horrible frequency response. So the two go hand in hand. So
Right.
how does it impact the bass? It means that you don't have to concern yourself with, I fixed the frequency response, but did I also fix the time domain? That comes into play in the higher frequencies, because none of those are minimum phase. In the bass, if you fix one, you fix the other. So Ethan Weiner is also semi-correct in that if you do fix the time problem by completely bass trapping your room like crazy, that will automatically fix the frequency response. They go hand in hand. So
Right.
that's the relationship. That's why it's important to know about the bass. You fix one, you fix both.
There you go. So Ted signed up for the Audioholics home theater setup training course. That includes a 1-hour phone call with Gene and ongoing email support. Are there any particular questions that would be really valuable to ask Gene during the phone call to squeeze out maximum value of this training? I don't know. What you want to know that you haven't asked us, I guess.
Well, I mean, what I would ask Gene about is if you have any questions about amplifiers. Because that man knows amplifiers, and he knows them better than
he has an
Tom or
electrical
myself.
background. Much. In fact, he actually, and there's a lot about speaker design itself as well. So he's worked with RBH on a couple of speakers. His very first real collaboration with them was he had a speaker designed by them where it was a side surround speaker basically. The front half was taking the signal that was your surround signal, and the back half was kind of firing backwards and taking the surround back stuff. And that was before that was actually offered by anybody that I had seen. When he got it, I was like, I remember when he showed it to me, I'm like, it kind of seems pointless, but it was enabling him to use all of the channels that were available, and it was in the first house that he lived in when I knew him, and it was a real small room with non-optimal placement. So yeah, it helped out in that room.
And setting up multiple subwoofers, that's also something he knows a ton about. I will tell you this. I will make the claim that when it comes to knowing the actual features and model numbers of current products, I will put myself above Gene on there. I'm sorry. I think that's the case. Because I've watched enough of those Audioholics videos that it's like he's not always 100% up on the latest model numbers and knowing exactly which features go with which model and all that. I think I'm better at those details. I will stake that claim right there. But yeah, when it comes to actually knowing the electrical engineering behind it, he is way ahead of anything that I know. So that's what I would talk to him about.
Yeah. All right, he's got his, this is Ted now, he's got his side surround speakers, and as previously described, he aimed them as front row and thought that made a big improvement. He has a pair of Def Tech Pro Cinema 1000 speakers left over, and now he has 2 rows of seats. Should he mount those speakers as a second pair of side surrounds for the back row? Now, this back row is right up on the wall, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. If so, should you wire them in series or parallel, and how will Odyssey handle it? Well, you'll wire them in series if you decided to, and Odyssey will handle them as one speaker.
That's right.
Will not see them as 2 separate speakers. And what does that mean? Well, doesn't really, I don't know. I don't know how much difference it's going to sound, because it's going to take both of them into account now from your measurement positions. My concern with this, and this is my only concern, is that you are now going to have some speakers that are essentially going to be, the first reflection points are going to be really super duper close to the speaker itself. It's going to be crossing off the back wall. Like if you have them I can only imagine one way to do this, which is to put them firing in almost right on the back wall, because that's where that second row of seats is. I mean, even if they're a couple inches off, we're still awfully close to that wall, which is going to create a reflection point there that could really affect your imaging, so to speak, your side imaging, and mostly your measurements. So it's not, I'm not saying not try it. It's only a little bit of speaker wire to try this. It doesn't really, I mean, it's some time and some speaker wire, and you've probably got both of those things. You've clearly got both of those things. I don't know about the speaker wire, but you certainly seem to have the time. So I would try it. I would be prepared going in that it's not going to make a difference that you're going to like. But it's certainly worth a try.
Yep, I agree with that. I will also say I don't know if the surround speakers he has are already the DefTech Pro Cinema 1000s because I believe he had like a 5.1 setup of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
those, and I think he kept those as his current surrounds, and that's why he has this other pair left over because they were his fronts previously. If you get to a situation where you have different side surround speakers, I wouldn't necessarily wire two very different speakers
Yeah.
together as because essentially they're playing mono, because that could give you varying if they have different efficiencies. One of them's going to be playing louder than the other. It doesn't matter how you wire them, series or parallel. One of them will be playing louder than the other. The signal is mono, so as long as
If
it's
you
two
don't
of the
have
same speaker over there, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally true. I completely agree. I can actually not think of it. I mean, you could tell, okay, this speaker has the same impedance, it's got the same this, it's got the same that, same efficiency, all same number of drivers, blah blah blah. Can I wire these in series? I'd be like, yeah, but you probably shouldn't. I just, because the impedance curve and change. It's not. Yes, their minimum impedance and their nominal impedance might be the same, but it changes across the frequencies. So as the frequency changes, impedances are going to vary, and they're going to vary to a point where the impedance on one might be might have extreme dramatically changed, where the other one it's way down at the minimum. Therefore, it's going to be really weird to your amplifier, and it could potentially cause some real problems. So if you're not putting matched speakers side by side, I would seriously, highly recommend not.
Maybe
to
just
do
call
this.
them surround backs and wire them up like 7.1.
There you go. So Tan Whitman mentioned that he tried running a Phantom Center, and in his case, he loved the improvement it made to his imaging. It's important to keep in mind, though, that he currently has his vertically aligned center speaker mounted horizontally underneath his TV. So the folded ribbon tweeter is actually sideways, and he gets narrow horizontal dispersion from his improperly placed center speaker. So he also tried the advice of not EQing anything above 250 hertz of this, and he thought that made a large improvement as well. So can he not take the tweeter and just rotate it 90 degrees?
No, it's not that type of design.
Okay.
It's not a
that's unfortunate.
rotatable thing. Yeah, so I mean, his plan is to have an acoustically transparent screen. He's like, I'm going to just get 3 vertical speakers, eventually put it back there, but right now he doesn't have that screen yet, so... Yeah, that
so
was
don't consider it a waste of money at this point. But if you really like the way it sounds better, be okay. Give yourself permission to be okay with running a Phantom Center.
Yeah, and going back to Ian, here's a case of, Oh, sorry, that wasn't Ian. Who was it who had the
Phantom Center?
The Phantom Center question. Yeah. Sorry, who was that? I have to scroll back up.
I can't. I'm not going to.
But anyway, yes. Going back to that, it was. There's a case where it should sound like things are coming from dead center.
Yeah, it should. There's something really weird going on. I bet you it's a tweeter. I bet you it's a blown tweeter. I gotta be honest with you. I really think that. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced. All right.
Oh, it was Ian. I had that right.
Hey, look at you go. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.